Hey, so I'm going to show you how to use hardware cloth to make a rescue bar for a piece of comb that's broke. You can reattach it to a foundationless frame. This is on a Langstroth frame. It will also work on a top bar. I want to give credit for this idea. I got it from John Swan, owner of Wicked Bee Apiary in Austin, Texas. Also one of the co-hosts of the Hive Jive podcast. So shout out to John. Thank you for this idea and for sharing it. I'm going to try to pass it along. Just using some standard 1/2-inch hardware cloth. You can buy pretty much any hardware store. A bigger size might would work, but a 1/2-inch is pretty standard. Have a lot of uses for it, so it doesn't hurt to have a roll of that around. You can pick up a small roll for less than $10. Other things you're going to need is a way to cut the wire. You can use a pair of these wire cutter pliers, or you can get a pair of aviation snips. The aviation snips and the hand seamer you see here, which is used for making bends in sheet metal, come in really handy. I got these from Harbor Freight, and I probably paid less than $10 for each of those. A sharp knife, needle nose always comes in handy, and a staple gun. So what you do is you cut you out a piece of hardware cloth. I usually cut it about 8 or 10 squares wide. Just kind of depends on what size comb you want to attach. And then if you notice down here, I can't do this and hold the camera, but then I bent it, and it's sort of in a squared U shape. It's stapled to the frame, which holds it in place. And incidentally, you'll need to staple it before you make the second bend, or you can't get it in there. So then I bend it over, and I leave just a gap here. This is probably 1.5 inches, about 1.5 squares. And then I trim off, I'll point this out right here, trim off the little piece of wire that's running in between. So now we have sort of a spike sticking out. Those little nubs you see is where I trimmed off the piece of wire running in between there. That would have been something like this part right here. So I make my second bend, then I trim those off, make sure it's stapled. Then you take your piece of comb, sorry about that. You're going to want it straight